Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first day of the very first NA Masters. My name is Bach. I'll be your host throughout the entire show, but you can put away your cringe spam that you've got ready for the chat, and you can pull out your Keck W's. It's not just me on the show. I do have some guests who will be joining me. I'm speaking, of course, of Vansili, Veli, and Potter, who will be with me all weekend long to break down the action. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite a panel that sits before us. We've got Veli on the end looking like a real dapper with the turtleneck. You got like a Steve Jobs thing going on. Dan's got this great pattern. Potter's always showing up looking freshly dressed and sharp. Is there anything that we should be looking forward to this weekend? What are you guys excited about most? Potter, we'll start with you.
Oh man, I guess let's start with the number one in NA, right? Coming through, Envy. I mean, that grand finals that they had versus Sentinels, that was quite the slapping around that Sentinels took, the beating, right? So definitely my biggest question is going to be, is that sustainable? Is Envy going to be able to show up once again when it really matters, right? So definitely I'm keeping an eye out for that, and all these new players coming through. Kusta for GEN.G. He's been elevating their whole squad up and up. They've made it finally to a big event as well. So a lot of questions, and I think we're going to see a lot of answers this weekend.
I'm going to have to continue with that, actually, Buck. I'm just going to have to say, I'm going to say right now, Envy's going to take the whole thing. So Envy's going to win this. Yeah.
Already with the
But, oh yeah, on the fly. We're going straight with that.
Okay.
But I also have to say that I'm looking forward to the storylines of 100 Thieves with Ethan now in the lineup, and also Immortals. Immortals have been on the up and up. They're one of the hottest talk of the town, and they're probably going to be one of those teams that could be the dark horse going into this.
You know what, Bach? I'm going to jump right in after that, and I'm just going to say I'm excited first off. We had Pop Flash, we had First Strike, but this event is so different from the other ones, right? There's no TSM. 100 Thieves looks totally different, and other than that, we have some new names at the top tier list. Luminosity, you have Xset. I'm excited to see who's going to be the real champion of NA starting now, because this is when it all matters.
2021 has started off a lot differently than last year. We saw a lot of these big names that you just mentioned potentially knocked out early and struggling to even make it to this point, some of them waiting for the last qualifier. But let's take a look at the matches we're going to be seeing across the next 2 days. We've got 4 games, 2 today and 2 tomorrow, and we'll be jumping into those first 2. It's going to be starting with Envy and GEN.G, and you can see them sitting at the top of the bracket. And then we've got a little bit of a surprise in that second match where it's going to be FaZe and Xset, which is interesting because I don't think that a lot of people expected Xset to make it to this point when you look at the other teams on this list, and FaZe as well. Vansili, is there something maybe that we can say about what these teams were able to do to qualify, just looking at these top 2 matches before we talk about the other 2?
Anything that they've done, I think we're going to have to look at Xset right now, right? They've been the team that they were probably like one of the top ones in tier 2 and suddenly started to get into the brink of their tier 1 conversation. And now they're just dominating. They got a good run. They ran on the momentum, and now they made it to the top 8. I think looking at the top 4, honestly, I think they might be the one that's going to fall short. But again, Envy's going to take it all.
Veli, looking at those other matches that are coming up tomorrow, we'll be breaking those down as well. But just looking at that bracket in general, is there a team that really surprises you, that stands out as a team that maybe we didn't think would ever get this far?
I'm going to say it. I felt like I put my whole life on the line. Back in the day when I worked that post event with Vansili, I kept saying, Luminosity is next up. They're next up. People were like, okay, Velis, you sound kind of crazy. Calm down. Let them prove it first. Luminosity, I feel like, in the bottom part of the bracket, there's going to be upsets that none of us expected, and we're seeing newcomers rise to the top. You look at that team, and they're so complete. A Proto, Stellar, you look at Thief. That core has carried this team to the top, and I think that as an underdog, you might see him at the end.
Potter, you know, looking at these teams, you've played against some of these teams. In your mind, looking at the teams competing, who is the number 1 contender? Vansili obviously thinks it's Envy. And all of us don't want to see Envy lose, but we would love to see Vansili with a little bit of egg on his face. Who in your mind is the number 1 team currently competing at this event?
Oh man, it's tough to say, right? I can completely see where Vansili's coming from. Not only has Envy looked so clean, right? FNS, the big brain behind that squad, really setting up his players for success, but I gotta go with the 100 Thieves for some reason. You know, I think their honeymoon period, it's something that we can't just take for granted, right? Ethan, he's got so much experience under his belt, coming from the prime in CSGO, just transplanting right into 100 Thieves, and they've kind of taken off, right? So definitely, my biggest question is going to be, is the Boomers and 100 Thieves going to be able to show up, or is it going to be that tactical approach from Envy that's just going to shine through?
Well, speaking of Envy, they're going to be playing in just a minute, and we'll see who they're going to be facing off against. It's going to be Envy versus Gen.G to open up the show, and I do feel like, to a certain extent, Gen.G kind of drew the short straw. You know, I do side with you, Vansili. I feel like Envy is potentially the cleanest looking team coming into this event. They have a long roster history with the players that have been playing, and they continue to trend upwards. In fact, I think it was them coming into VCT that everyone said to look out for. But looking at their competition, let's take a look at that Gen.G lineup, the roster who they're going to be facing off against. See what players they bring to the table. Vansili, why don't you march me through this roster?
Yeah, well, you still have GMD for those of you that are new to Gen.G. He's going to be the in-game leader for this roster. They've gone through a couple of in-game leaders in a past iteration of this lineup, but he's been at the helm and actually calling it quite well for the team. There's one person that's also not on his screen. It's going to be their coach, MCE, coming in from CSGO, being one of those guys that definitely help into Gen.G's the up and up that we've had in the past results over in the past.
Now, looking at Gen.G, there's also a player you wanted to profile that stands out specifically. Who do you got on the team?
It's going to have to be Sean at this point, right? I know I have to give an honorable mention to Kusta being like one of those clutch players as Cypher, but Sean has been that consistent fragger, the duelist that they have for Gen.G that they were looking for ever since, unfortunately, Effie's and Player 1 kind of left, right? They were looking good for Gen.G when they first started in the beta days, then coming back into this. I'm glad that you have those two players now.
You know what, Bach? I'm going to say it outright. I think Sean made this team so much better than what we knew about Gen.G in the past. You take a look at players like when you have Kusta on the team now with Cypher, right? Even Killjoy sometimes. And the fact that Sean is such a good clutch rifler, he's able to clear the way and make things just so much better for the main opper, which is when to help him be even more consistent in the back lines. And it's just Gen.G, I love their chances. I think this Envy match is really going to show us how good they really are.
Potter, when Sean joined the team, it seemed like we saw a drastic uptick in performance from them in general. They've continued to change pieces out to try to find the magic solution to get the win. Is this the best the roster's ever been? Or do you feel like there's still some changes that need to happen to really unlock that upper level potential?
You know, I'm going to say it's definitely the best they've ever looked, you know, in tandem with Kusta joining together. These two have absolutely elevated the team play coming out from Gen.G. We got to shout out Kusta, right? He's one of those players that silently just does his job, and he does it damn well, right? And that's the kind of the best kind of teammate you can have, is a teammate that doesn't go for the heroic plays always, doesn't need to be set up with all the util to be successful. He just flies under the radar, he does his job, and he sets his team up for those W's. So really crucial piece for Gen.G coming through, and his Cypher play on that Haven, it's chef's kiss, beautiful to watch. Perfect lurk kills, the pressure that he applies outside that B in that middle area, it's amazing to watch. So definitely for Gen.G, even though we're talking kind of that David Goliath scenario with Envy looking as good as they are, if Kusta shows up, man, and Sean puts out as much ADR as he did the last time around, Gen.G, they can absolutely swing back.
I personally love watching solid Cypher play on Haven, looking at a player like Kusta or a player like Steel. Everyone was nerding out over some of Steel's tripwire placements when they played during the last and final stage of the qualifiers. It's something that's always so enjoyable to watch. But looking at the opposition, the team that Gen.G is going to be facing off against, Veli, march me through this Envy roster as we get prepared to see them come on screen, because that team has a lot of firepower and a lot of promise. There is definitely things to look out for with this Envy roster.
Buck, let me take you down memory lane and tell you all about Envy, baby. And it all started, I'm being dead serious. This team has never been the same ever since they picked up Food and Crashies from T1. Ever since that change happened, they joined Caboose, and Caboose having another duelist able to bang out with them, they've been fantastic. Now, FNS, the leader of this roster, he's so smart. He's so passive in such a good way. You look at this team, and just their game planning, they look like the most well-prepared team whenever you see them on the board. So I'm really thinking that Envy, kind of like what Vansili says, I expect them to go to the finals, but they're going to have to prove it.
I feel that they've proven it. If you're looking at the track record of Envy right now, ever since Challengers 2, they haven't dropped a single map since the Open qualifiers. So they went 2-0, 2-1, even 3-1, I think, or 3-0 versus Sentinels. They've won everything. So if you're looking at their past stat and their history, it's all greens, it's all dubs. And they went back into a winning formula where Mummy goes back into opting with Omen instead on certain maps where they tried things out with Jet before. I just think that they go back to their winning ways, just like TSM kind of did when they tried to qualify, and it's working out beautifully versus all of their opposition.
And I think that's such a good point that you bring up about Omen for Mame, right? Coming through.
Yeah.
And it makes complete sense, right? Jet, if you're a great opera and you need to lean onto that agent, it makes sense because you're able to get away the space making capabilities.
Yeah.
But if we look at this MV lineup, they got Caboose. They have the pieces in place. Food, even Crashies on Sova. He's a little bit more aggressive on that agent than most Sovas that we've seen. So Mame, he doesn't need to focus on that space making ability. So him on Omen
Correct.
across majority of the maps, it's absolutely been a different look for Envy, but a really successful one.
What is it about the Omen that works so well for Mummy, though? Because like you mentioned, it not having those space-making capabilities as we take a look at this roster, it's a little bit odd. It's one of the few players we see kind of hard locking into the op role, but not dedicating himself to playing Jet, which he started as a player playing Jet, but he's transitioned ever since he grew this ridiculous goatee. So I don't know if there's some connect there between the goatee and the Omen play, but what is it about Omen that works out well for Mummy?
Potter, go ahead.
Again, I think it comes down to these players' responsibilities individually, right? We got to mention Caboose coming through on different agents. He was the main Omen traditionally for this MV lineup, but busting out the Rays, busting out the Reyna, and having some good looks. And again, that space making, the pressure that you're able to apply with those dualisty type agents, that frees up Mame to not have to focus on those aspects. He can hold those long lines with that operator and have a little bit more of a passive look and secure the W at the end in those post-plant scenarios. So I think Envy, once again, they're playing to their strengths and they're not really having to have Mummy get in there, get into the mix too early on. He can hold on to that expensive weapon and secure the round at the end.
Well, there was a player we wanted to talk about as well, in addition to Mummy, because it's not just a Mummy show. One of the players that Veli had mentioned, Food, who since joining the roster has been incredibly powerful as a player, and we did have an opportunity to sit down with Food and talk about one of the plays that we saw previously from him. Let's take a look.
It's 8-1 in the first map of the grand finals of Challengers against Sentinels. We're on defenders. We're up big. I'm feeling really confident because I feel like I'm playing really good. And Zoms walks past me in short A, and I just felt like I could win the round right there. My eyes grew big, and I pounced.
This is, oh no, Sean. This could be everything here. He's on the mega trigger discipline as he creeps up looking for more. There's the first one, the second, the third on the transfer for Food. That patience paying dividends as Envy now only need to worry about one player, and well, he's history. Food with just such an insane round.
For Food to make a play like this, to have that level of trigger discipline, it just shows why he's on Envy. It shows why he's one of the best players. Like, no one's gonna make this play in ranking. You're playing matchmaking, some dude walks by you. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're just gonna shoot him back in the head. And to have the discipline to let, you know, another top player in the world walk right by you, onto site, smoke for his team, by the way, to hit the site, and then proceed to get a triple kill, and then flash the last guy and kill 4.
Players know that that spot isn't that great of a spot because if they look at it, they can see you before you see them, and you're probably gonna die. But in my head, I was just so confident that I didn't see it not working.
Victor he's a very smart player, and he knows when he can get more value out of his plays. We're playing in a match in a finals, and Vic's able to kill 3 people from behind them when they think the site is clear. So you have to just think about how Sentinel's comms are in that moment. So they're all in the site, and they're all probably calming. They're playing retake. No one's in the site, and Vic's just behind enemy lines. He knew that he'll get Zoms, but he's also looking for more, and that's his mentality. When he's playing this game, Victor's always trying to get more.
I just like to play aggressive. If they're there, sometimes I'd like to just aim battle them just because they're there, and My natural playstyle is a little more aggressive than passive, but in my head, all players should be able to do both when it's needed.
Food has always had this sort of playmaking ability within himself, right? But he's kind of one of those mindlessly aggressive duelists that's always in your face. So he's not always in a position to make plays such as this, where it requires a bit more finesse, a bit more trigger discipline.
Victor reads the situation really well. He'll understand what he needs to get done as his role on the team. He understands that if he has to stay alive, he understands if he should go in and get one, get two. Victor knew that this was the opportunity for him. He killed all 3 people, and he made the round much easier for us to win.
Being able to pull off something like that in a tense moment, it requires a little bit more than just skill. It requires experience. It requires being in that position before and experiencing that yourself. Only the best of the best are able to make it look as good as Food did in that round. Zoms will probably check his left corner here for the next few months, no matter what.
Goes in front of Zoms and then takes out Sick and Dapper. Oh my god, it looked like Sentinels finally found a way to get back into the map. Shut down immediately.
I think just his experience in Counter-Strike and Valorant and his aim, his intelligence, he is a powerhouse. He puts people in uncomfortable positions, he hits shots, he's reliable. And I think he's the best duelist in the game right now.
I feel very confident going into Masters. Our whole team just riding a huge wave of momentum right now, and we all have superior confidence.
One of the best duelists in Valorant, apparently,
Okay.
according to Mummy. Veli, that's a pretty bold statement. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, first off, Mummy was hyping this boy up, so I can't help but respect that, right? But if I had a list, and I'm being completely real right now, Food is my top 2. Period. Look at the way Envy uses him. Like, whenever I think about Food, think back on the Scent and how they use him. They put him in the middle, and they use him to rotate early. He is the muscle. Whenever someone's coming in the garage, Food is going to be there with the curveball, with the flashes, and he's going to rack up those kills. I'm thinking about his games against Mortals and whatnot. Food is the heart of this team. You have other great duelists as well. Shout out to Caboose. But Food being in the forefront of everything, to see experience, just like Potter was saying, he looks like a veteran out there, and I think he's only going to get better yet. He hasn't peaked.
I think another thing in that video is he talks about he loves being aggressive. When you look at Envy just before, when he tried different compositions, right? When we talked about Mummy, for example, opting as a Raze instead of an Omen on Bind, and then you had Food playing as Sage. He had decent numbers, but he wasn't able to play that aggressive playstyle that he usually does, and he can't play for himself because he doesn't have the utility to do that. Now that he goes back to the Phoenix on maps like Bind, now that he uses Phoenix on Icebox, for example, they've been looking good for Envy as a whole, just because he's putting those numbers up.
We'll be jumping into the map selection here in a moment to see where this series is going to be headed. I know we all had our own thoughts, and there was some anticipations, but the map picks and bans might actually surprise us a little bit as we get into the meat and potatoes of this match, because obviously Envy wants to play split. It's a map they've been very proficient on. No one wants to let that happen. What's more interesting, though, is the first map that we see. So, you know, Potter, we end up going to Haven, which is not somewhere we expected to go right off the bat.
Yeah, it is very surprising, you know. This is Gen.G's statistically their best map, so definitely Envy, I thought they would be vetoing that out, but Envy, they've got so many cards that they can play, right? Coming to this series, they play every map, and if you look at those numbers, all of them are above 70 to 80% win rate. So Envy, they're feeling comfortable. They can play around with whatever. Maybe they have some insider info. Maybe Gen.G's scrim numbers are looking insane on Ascent. So a lot of different factors that I think FNS had to consider here, but it is really surprising that Haven is coming through here.
Just to add on to that a bit too, because I saw that we had Haven twice, but I think the order is going to be Haven first map picked by Gen.G, then we're going to Icebox. So I was surprised into that one as well, thinking that Envy would be the ones choosing Bind, for example, but they choose Icebox instead, but they've had really good results on that too. I guess we could talk about that once we get into the preview of Icebox itself, but overall, looking at this whole series, the only chance that Gen.G currently has is potentially Haven, where they started to get good results out of that.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. They have to win this first map. Veli, thoughts on that one as well? It looks like Haven is like kind of Gen.G's key to winning the series.
Okay, so you take a look at Gen.G's stats from the last challengers when they qualified for this, right? They look good. They're what, 3-0, 61% on attack and whatnot. We look at the sample size of the teams they go against. No disrespect whatsoever, but you look at who Envy went against as well, and they went against some really elite teams. 83% on defense. Their attack is lacking though. I feel like Haven is a throw up, but other than that, Icebox and Bind are statistically Gen.G's worst maps. So Gen.G, they're going to have to go swinging on Haven. If they don't win Haven, I think it's going to be an 0-2. But if they win Haven, I actually think they can cause an upset. I think they have what it takes.
Graffiti bear.
Yeah.
Well, real quickly before we throw to the casters, as the game is almost ready to go live, Veli, we'll start with you. Predictions for the series. Thoughts?
Envy, man. There's no thought about it. Envy 2-0.
Potter?
Oh man, Bach, you know me. I always tend to lean on the underdog story here.
Okay.
I think Envy, once again, they are absolutely number one. They've proven it time and time again. But when it matters, when the pressure starts getting hot, they haven't proven much. So I'm gonna say 2-1 Gen.G here. I'm gonna say 2-1 Gen.G.
Okay.
I'll probably get
The
proven
hot
wrong,
takes.
but you know what? Let's see what happens.
New to the desk, and she's popping off already. Let's get it.
I got to stick to what I said before at the beginning of the show, right? So I got Envy going all the way. So this one is probably going to have to be a 2-1 for Envy because they haven't played Haven enough for this team for Envy.
I feel like it's going to be a 2-0, and I think that Envy is going to come out swinging on that first map. I think we're going to be surprised with what we see, because even though they don't play Haven, you got to be prepped to play all the maps if you're coming into a tournament like this. But we do have our casters standing by and ready to take us into the action. It's going to be DDK and Rivington on the desk. Take it away, gents.
It's that moment you've all been waiting for. We start the journey to find out who will be the VALORANT Masters in North America. DDK, it's going to be an amazing one, and I cannot wait to start the games. How you feeling?
Oh, feeling great. Really excited to see how this is all going to pan out. I mean, it's it's cool to start with a story like this because you get to warm up. Everyone gets to warm up. Envy are expected, obviously, as it was set up on the desk, to win. I mean, their map pool is incredible. Really, really strong team. But Gen.G, in that sense too, that there's kind of a little bit of nothing to lose kind of mentality going into this one. Haven's in the mix too, so there's a lot of really interesting things. I actually can't wait to kind of just get into the gameplay so we can really start to dig into what these teams have been preparing, how the teams are looking at the start of this Masters event, and what Gen.G are going to do to try to throw some awkwardness into the mix to make life difficult for Envy.
The Haven pick blows my mind. The desk talked about it a little bit, being statistically favored towards Gen.G, and that's 73 plays on Haven in professional to 30 of Envy's. So definitely feeling way more comfortable there. Everybody's talking about that we wouldn't see Haven. That's got to be the map that Gen.G finds a win on. This is first 8th seed. From Challengers 1 to Challengers 2, we've seen Envy's defensive side on quite a few maps. I believe Bind and Split go up 20% in their win rate, and not a lot of teams are following them. Envy's 9-1 in their last 10 games. So I think you said it pretty good along the way there. But yeah, Gen.G has the work cut out for them, but still very much a possibility. It's a team that's made changes, made moves, and they do have the mindset to be able to take down a team like Envy, I believe.
Yeah, Envy's it's just such an interesting premise, a team like this, where they're so versatile. They're a team that's got so much in terms of, as you said, like their defense across the board has always been really good. So it's going to be scary, given that, we can assume also that their attack is they know how to play Haven. Even though they don't have as many players as you said, as a team like, Gen.G, they're going to know what they're doing on this map. So it's going to come down to the fact that Gen.G have a lot of data out there for Envy to very easily. And it's like Envy, if they're floating Haven coming into this series, they're going to assume that Gen.G are going to be picking that one up. And so if they've done any research at all on Gen.G's Haven, they're going to know a lot about what Gen.G will be up to in terms of how they're playing their attacking defaults. So that's a scary prospect for Gen.G, I would say.
And the attacking default is we talked about it a little bit earlier. Gen.G's very good at not setting a precedent with what they want to do. They'll have a few go mid if there's a mid lane on the current map they're playing, with a couple around the map, and then switch that default up. And you'll usually see GMD and Sean being quite a big cooperation couple there to be the one pushing forward, with Win looking for a side take and Mikhail also offering a bit of that initiation with his dart. So it'll be interesting to see how Gen.G gets in here. Their defensive side on Haven is their strong point. That's where we see them racking up wins. I believe they have about a 75% win rate on rounds for defensive side. So picking up a lot here on attack is really going to benefit them. They need them.
Yeah, and interestingly, you know, something to note as far as the Gen.G attack is concerned is sort of their default tendencies. You know, I mentioned this previously. There is definitely data on them, but maybe no time to go into that, Riv, because we are straight into the pistol right now, and we'll already see a very fast hit coming in from Gen.G with the spike going down on the A side.
Envy with 3 coming into the site. Gen.G just plows right through that one. We're going to be seeing if they can retake here. FNS looking to come around from behind, as you would expect the Cypher doing a bit of the lurk, but Andy takes him down. Crashies trades it out, but who gets the retribution? Trying to get the ghost. Getting a little greedy there for a few more guns. Himself taken out, but it seems like it's just going to be a quick take on A. Gen.G pulls the trigger immediately and does not let Envy get a chance on that round.
Yeah, great stuff. Really good, obviously, to start off for Gen.G. You know, you want to see the underdogs doing a good job in how they start things off. And one thing, obviously, I mean, it's not as bad as it was. We did have a really crazy meta for a while when the Stinger was, you know, a bit less expensive, a bit more consistent on the spray and the spread, and we saw people running and gunning with that, and as well as the frenzy, and it caused a lot of issues to stabilize after taking a pistol. But it seems like teams are doing a better job in playing these anti-ecos, so we'll take a note here as to how Gen.G approach this. They can also use this round to kind of start to set the expectation as to how they want to default and how they want to, you know, put presence on the map at this early timing in the round.
All right, where do they go from here? So spikes dropped. You can tell this is going to be a slow one for now. And I like the fact that they're hard bonusing on this one. They really don't want to buy anything, carry what they can to the next rounds. You'll see a lot of people going Bulldog sometimes if they're operators, and they carry that into the next few. But here, just a few Spectres. And again, walking right in. Envy's feeling like the retakes are going to be how they play these ones on the saves. And it's a slow walk in. Gen.G feeling comfortable in these first few as they should. Shouldn't have too much trouble.
Yeah, looking pretty good so far. Just one kill there going Envy's way. So Gen.G able to maintain most of their economy, and a nice little flank there from Sean. I haven't spoken too much about Sean just yet. Obviously someone I think that, you know, his gameplay is going to force us to make him a talking point, I would imagine, given how, you know, skilled he is. But enough about that. We'll have the first buy round coming through, Riv, and previously I was mentioning about the defaults of Gen.G. We can expect, you know, more of a mid presence and you know, going into maybe C long pressure as well to like finish rounds around the A site. That might be something that we'll see that's characteristic, but Gen.G will likely also want to mix things up. So this is the round to start to set the expectation. Yeah. So this is a pretty big one.
Blade Storm already there for Quinn. He's going to activate immediately, and they want to pull it again, trying to get that straight in. Paranoia stops Quinn in his tracks for just a moment. Sean is already in. Mummy backs up to get a frag for himself as Caboose answers as well, and the aggression seems to sting Gen.G a little bit this round. They recoup a bit in their positioning, calm out where everybody could be. As we take a look on the mini-map, it looks like a great push for Food is going to be their demise here, coming from window. That's a double, that's a triple for Food, and that's going to be the round as Envy put themselves on the board.
Yeah, really well played there by Gen.G initially to gain that space, but when you look at it a bit more closely, there is this element that, you know, giving up sort of some of that mid presence and that mid control from Envy, you know, the B site's very retakeable, so you're not as worried about that. And because there was no defaulting, there was no presence or work done by Gen.G towards the A lobby side of things, we see that clears so much space for Food to get a very quick flank, and we saw how dangerous that was. His teammates couldn't help him. They were dealing with the retake from 2 other sides of their own. It's just chaos. So I would expect Gen.G to slow things down in some of the future rounds, but we're back into it. Looks like they want to go for some A lobby pressure to begin with. It actually looks like they are looking to send it on A, actually.
You have the Phoenix ultimate on defense. Food should be able to make that work after an amazing round. Really able to shut down the dagger, the Blade Storm coming in from Win. And they're going to work A again. They worked for him the first few rounds. I think they feel comfortable with the angles as they move in. The cover for Cypher's traps on the back are great. And it's a full retake here. from Envy. They feel that once again. We'll see if they can use their util to get back in here. Full retakes, I feel like, have a little bit of a benefit to them. Yes, you have to work against the spike. That's the truth. But I feel like there's better return on your utility. Where you're going to fire it towards the corner, there's more likely to be a person. And around that corner, it's going to be Hwin. And they lose a lot of that utility to get from Sova to get back into the site. It's almost imperative for a Haven A take.
Yeah, you're totally right. That was such a valuable pick and some great space. Now you can see that Envy really are very concerned about this. They have to try to clear that out. Takes them some extra time. Starting to make the effort now forward, trying to push through from the window. Gen.G looking good on the defense so far. And Envy, they are looking to back away here. They've lost a lot. They haven't really gained much for it. And so they have to call it. The save is there. And looks like they should be able to get away with all of these rifles. And Gen.G, they've done a good job here. And this was all about the retake, just like you said, Riv. Envy realized what was possible. They kind of set up for it. They had the ability to have all of that utility early on. I think this is one point that we should make clear to people as well, is that when a team plays really fast into a site, if you as the defenders do just give it up and play retake, you have full utility at that point in the round. Nothing's been expended, so that usually will help massively on your chances for a retake.
Yeah, it's okay to take it slow. Just the added pressure feels good once you realize maybe they saw me, but now they have to worry about me. They know I'm here and my team has an advantage to maybe get around the backside. We're starting off Food and Hwin on the top for both of their teams. We've seen the ultimates already from them as everybody's coming up and has them on deck. We'll see if the alt orb plays are coming to be. It looks like there might be one here for the side of Gen.G as they make their way towards long. Two of them working towards long C. Looks like this is going to be the first time towards the C site, Dan. We'll see how they play it.
Super fast round yet again. Really fast pacing coming through from Gen.G. And this time, Envy with more of a defense, trying to actually hold on to the backside of the site, behind the cage, behind the dark cover. It's working out so far. Mummy able to hold on to position. Now they're able to maybe push position. There's no space for the spike to get planted. They have to fight their way out of this one. Mikhail is going to do just that, but not for too much longer. Caboose and Crashy still on the site, and they'll be able to lock things down. So, really good defense from Envy. They were not giving up the site for free this time, and it worked out. Does Gen.G slow it down now? They've had really fast rounds. This would be maybe a timing on the next spy to go for a slower play.
I think it's a great call because you saw how fast you have Envy rotating around. Caboose gets there, blast packing over the trap at the backside of C that Cypher had set up, and wait for that. Why not? Look for them to be always pushing forward, and you can take them out here again. I mean, we know Envy for doing that, right? They don't really have a defensive side. They just have offense. If they have blast packs as well, you'll see them going forward. Here is going to be a little bit onto B. Sean gets spammed down, or Sean spams Mummy down rather, as Crashy trades one back onto Hwin. It looks like B may be a touch and go thing here for Gen.G, as they just want to get the scatter on Envy to see if any of these sites are open. And I'm sure GMD is making that call right now.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I think that Envy's doing a good job in reacting so far, using the drone to get that mid-round information on the A-long position. Actually, I don't think it spotted anything, and there's that lurk you were talking about from GMD creeping up. I think he got past the cam as well, and now it's going to create a lot of issues. He's going to be able to get himself using the alt TP all the way over to the A site, and in terms of a positional thing here, Gen.G have completely outplayed Envy because of that lurk from GMD. That really created a lot of issues, and we saw that Gen.G capitalized on some of that conditioning already. We saw, once again, that really fast pace. They were putting a lot of pressure towards B. So the sense of urgency is huge because you're expecting them to actually go for it. So that pulls a huge defender rotation, which allows GMD to creep up into C. Then you're wondering, okay, they're resetting, but what are they doing? We've just lost so much info because we had to give up A and C because we thought they were going to hit B. And then that gives the whole map for Gen.G to play with. So that's Gen.G's default and kind of attacking strategy. It's working out so far.
And honestly, against Envy, when you know they're going to be aggressive, why not get them off their first angle or how hard they're pushing? Make them think a little bit different, because once they feel like they're in control, Envy will take over the game. So I love what you're saying. Gen.G's kind of trying to scatter Envy at the beginning of the round, and it's been working so far as we get in around 7-4 to 2 here. Buys on both sides. And this is going to be a second round loss if it comes in for Envy. So they're going to look at 1,400 on their scoreboard on top of what they have now. So not really in a buy phase if they go to this one, maybe with light armor if they want to, if Envy loses this round. So things could be starting to get tight with economy. as Gen.G starts to grab a hold.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Envy will try to do to adjust. Some early presence, just farming that ult orb there. Really important there for Sean. Get the run it back. Such a valuable ultimate. One of the most valuable ultimates. A 6 charger as well, so you can get it up pretty quickly. And this A lobby control is really important because this is an area that Envy could be pushing because they're expecting so much mid and C presence early in their timings. It's important that Gen.G keep Envy honest and don't allow them to just push that for free, which they're doing a good job of so far. So right now, Envy don't know what's happening as Gen.G kind of reset into what looks like more B pressure, but now they're finally walking A again. So really keeping things confusing as far as Envy are concerned.
Revealing area.
Slow play, just trying to get a quick reveal. Doesn't look like that'll tag anybody necessary. Sean's able to stay safe, and the A work is going to happen here. It's just about committing right now as Food goes for a quick peek. 2 ults ready here for Gen.G if they want to activate right close to the site. If Spike is down, they have a huge advantage with the Hunter's Fury. And the first few shots have to count. There it is. They use it right away to cause the chaos. Both ultimates snapped at the same moment to cause Envy to think twice, and it works. 5v3 here. It's a retake if they want it.
You have to credit Gen.G for playing a really good attacking side so far. Again, we saw them setting the default, setting the early timings of the round, where they're going to be. Then we saw them creating this situation where they slow it down just enough, where Envy is kind of scared because Envy want to push the extremities, but they know that there's an information trap set up for them if they do that, because Gen.G is slowing things down, so they're going to catch that. And so then they're keeping Envy in this position where they've lost information and they can't get it back, and without a huge risk. So and then now they're playing, Gen.G just following up by playing the positional game super well, and they're winning on positioning. That's perfect if you're an attacking team because you're not relying on just mechanical fights.
Yeah.
And so now Envy, they've got to do something here. They've got to get aggressive to try to just throw a wrench into the mix.
Ooh. And that's gonna put a hurting on the money. We did see one person over there on the side of Envy with quite a bit of cash. But you can see the Spectres coming out. We expected this to be a round that was gonna be hurting for money. Mame was saving up. Mame's usually a guy that'll buy a Bulldog, hold that forever. And Bulldog to Operator is something you'll see commonly. I love that combination. It feels like a very similar peaking pattern. Peak, get out, peak, get out. And the transition right there, if you need to drop to somebody or buy next round, just works out really well. You feel set up for it. He's going to try here from lower to see if that calibration is ready for himself.
I love this too. Just putting the Operator on a position like A short. Also with Omen, you can see he's playing an angle where you can TP out. This, obviously, Jet can do the same thing. Reyna, if she gets the kill, can dismiss. And there's Caboose around the corner using the Showstopper, trying to find ways to get value. We talked about this sense of urgency for Envy to try to take control of something early on and just put the aggression on. And they're trying to do it around A lobby. This is the response. Gen.G realize that there's so many players there. They're going to push B. Great defensive shot coming through from Kratchis. He's got to hold on for long enough. Food is there with the Bucky looking for some fun. And the Bucky's not good enough this time. GMD to take him down. And it's looking rather grim here. Gen.G, they've got so much to work with. Just splitting off onto the C side, keeping Envy on their toes. And now it's a 3 versus 2 off the plant scenario for Gen.G.
Imagine if that's a Phantom and not a Spectre off of being forced into somewhat of a half eco round. It's, oh, that shot there. You just feel jaded by the gun when you see that large spark come off his head, but that still means he's low. Doesn't matter. Mame's going to overkill on that one with the Operator. And Caboose, he's going in. He's got a blast pack. Blast pack with the Bucky. He's feeling confident right now. You can absolutely make a play here. Maybe right into the window. Makes a little bit of noise. Oh, the Trickster gets him. GMD goes down. Twin trades back onto Mummy, and it's just going to be a back and forth here. Taunt him out. Half defuse. Pros don't fake. Pros don't fake. Oh, he has to get off knowing the peaks are coming in from Win. Turns his head as Caboose tries to duck. But Win hits the brim of his cap and knocks it all off together. There it is, 6-2 now. I said that this was going to be a tough map for Envy, but also that Gen.G usually grabs most of the rounds on defense. So this one seems all but wrapped up if they play to their statistics.
Yeah, it's such a great attacking half. I can't really stress it enough. They're just doing such a good job controlling the information game. and then that allows them to win the positioning game. And then when they're making these moves on the fly, when these kills are getting traded, they're just making good decisions as a team. And we saw Envy trying to invest a lot on A lobby last round to get the initiative early working in their favor, but that didn't work out either. And so now they're kind of struggling. We get the early Hunter's Fury there from Crashies. It's a great angle. Able to punish, and we can see that there's a reaction from Gen.G trying to charge into the C site. Finesse able to defend there as well. And now finally Envy, coming off the better of these early exchanges, having to use an ultimate for it, but still 3 versus 5 for Gen.G, and they got to try to work the positions that they have here, Riv.
What an interesting round. Envy is staying on their own side. I don't know if I've seen this before. That's working out for them, though. They're letting Gen.G come to them. One of the benefits of being on the defending side, and Envy definitely do a little bit of a paradigm shift here in how they consider the approach. A little damage over. No, Kusa doesn't take anything on that. He will have a good bit of utility. 45 seconds left. Feels like the world if you know what you're doing. He has a lot of time. One to the right, grabs a bit of info, but they just surround him from everywhere. 3 for Crash, he's there. Envy's starting to feel good as they pull back. You got to be careful around these rounds when everybody starts getting their ultimates ready. They start stringing those together between teammates from round to round. It starts to really change how the game is flowing.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to see that we'll see a play from Food here with a run it back, maybe some kind of a setup towards a lobby to try to once again take that early control. And actually, it looks like he's gone back towards mid, which makes a lot of sense given the fact that Gen.G's defaults often start with this early timing, heavy presence around the middle area of the map, and then they go back to A later on. But they're mixing things up a lot here on Envy, really keeping them guessing, charging towards this A site, and Finesse sitting in the cage. The daggers come out. Oh, it's actually going to whip the right click, allowing FNS to survive for longer.
Push mid already.
They can't deal with this position. They're stuck right now. They can't gain ground. Envy are defending very well, and there's just nothing left.
What?
Just like that. Open and shut.
That was just a read and a half. There were 3 mid to start, instant transfer over to A once nothing was seen, and the team collapsed. You saw Caboose into the window 5 seconds into the round, blowing up the Cypher gate on the back. You had the call into sight because all the action was there, and if it didn't happen right away, Caboose was he was there on the end, being the Caboose, as he should be. Everybody you can see participating on the scoreboard there for Envy around the board to get this game back into their hands. And again, they'll do that little bit of a push, Dan. Uh-oh.
And there you go. It's going to work out beautifully well for Envy. You know that at these early timings of the round, it's going to be quite likely to find these Gen.G players. I'm liking that Envy have the confidence to make some plays. You can see that they know how to coordinate around their utility to do so.
Yeah.
And Gen.G, they don't have anything left here. The spike is down in grass. It's in no man's land. There's no real way to recover that without hitting some crazy shots. Juice is going to work on that, but he's only good for the one right now. And GMD, all he can really do here is do some extra damage to the economy of Envy, but he won't be able to accomplish that. Okay, and this is what you're looking for. Gen.G, they do a great job playing the information and position game. Then we get Envy having enough of that, using their confidence, and just tackling things head on at the start of the round.
And how is the last round played? 3 strong towards A here. Nothing on B this time. So it looks like they actually are gonna get a flash down curveball towards long C. Maybe a quick push down. You see a Cypher trap on the site in a few spots. It feels like a retake. And Spike's getting work for Gen.G towards that mid area. So it seems like it's just a slow default round for them. They won't
Back
decide
to the
push.
basics.
Yep. There's the Hunter's Fury.
Caboose, oh dear, able to get that one. Sean, great entry from him. The run it back pops immediately straight towards C Link. Will get dropped, but there is control towards A Link here for Gen.G. That's really important, getting extra post-spawn control here on this site. Trace coming through as Envy force the issue, looking to try to find a way onto that B side. It's not happening just yet. And again, they're having to deal with these forward positions. But Win here just waiting. White A Link is just wasting so much time, and he's still alive. That's allowing so many individual fights to go the way of Gen.G here.
and they're just picking them apart. They're not. There's too many angles for Envy to look at here in these rounds that Gen.G starts to get a hold of. Into the site comes FNS and one more. That's food. They're going to be able to drop the 2. It's now a very big possibility they get this round. The defuse now to 90%, and that's the lock-in for a 6-6 first half.
Switching sides.
What a great game we have right off the bat here, Rip. This is what you want to see. You know, Gen.G clearly doing their homework, and I really have a sense that Envy knew what they were going to be up against here in terms of the attacking side of Gen.G. Yet still, they struggle, and it's just because of Gen.G walking into this game with just quality, just confidence and quality. They've clearly done their work, and they've gotten off to a great start. And like you said, Gen.G on that defensive side, they've got a lot to say for themselves. So with a start like this, 6-6, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Not at all. Not at all. We'll see if their defensive stats stand true here for Gen.G. They can grab their first map that they picked themselves. And coming from attacker side, this feels pretty good here. We start things off. GMD is going to see a few down towards long. He'll call that out, and it does look like there's a bit of a push already here for Hwin. Why not? Being the Jet, you want to try to cause chaos right away, and they'll see him. So he can create the pressure here, hang out, and maybe draw a little bit of pressure as the team sets up a little more utility. So drawing some nice time to stall out Envy to start here from Hwin's push.
A lot of poking and prodding, sending out the feelers, but it looks like finally Envy looking to gain some more control here. Gen.G though, quickly moving straight forward into the fight. They do not care. They want to win it in Garage, but it's going to be even trades more or less. Gen.G are a man down, and Crashies has found his way to the back of B. Oh, he's given his position away. That's an opportunity for Win. One that will not be seen through to the end, unfortunately for him. And Envy, they're going to see it through to the end. Picking up the pistol just as Gen.G did in the first half, and it's going to be interesting to see a different look on this attacker default from Envy, because they don't play the same style of that Gen.G do.
Nope. I mean, you saw them right in the site there. They're like, oh, gain more ground. That's what we want to do. Already pushing through, back of site, going to spawn from C. Yeah, they want to get in your face immediately. Obviously, buys for them. We'll see what Gen.G decides to do. We have seen teams going for the buy just with the way you can econ the first few rounds if you're feeling comfortable with possible light armor on your first gun buy. But they go straight eco, stack on C.
Straight into the action once again. They're just charging down. Oh my god, that's scary. Everyone from Gen.G is just on the chase right now. And well, that's a free A site, which has been confirmed by Envy. Gen.G though, they feel dangerous right now, moving in a pack.
Love to see that camera pulled back so they can get into sight as fast as possible. The dart was used to get down C, but that gun in a death ball could be very, very useful. A bit of a rotation. You're still going to have Sova come from the other side so they can get an efficient dart down into the site when necessary. Shots getting fired here. Food cleans up 20 HP, finds a third one. His second 3K coming up quick in this match. And just a troll from FNS as he's creeping up on Mikhail there. They get another round for themselves. 8-6 as Envy takes the lead and some expected rounds after pistol. And see if it happens here again. That was a full save for Gen.G, so they're coming out firing here on the third round of second half.
And it's a scary prospect too. Food's the guy picking up a lot of these anti-eco kills, and that's going to have his run it back available immediately against the first gun round of Gen.G on the defense. So Gen.G are in a somewhat of a scary position here. They know they're up against this bonus round. There's a lot of Spectres in play. There's a run it back in play. So they've got to be thinking to themselves, what do we think is most likely from Envy to make best use of that ult and these Spectres? And Envy kick off the pressure, taking garage control. They don't have to finish onto the C site with a split. We'll see, though, that is exactly what they're going to do. Not messing around. There's the run it back. Great paranoia. That's going to deal with that. And it allows GMD to keep position as Kusta tries to maintain that backside control at the same time. But Caboose denies it all.
Caboose thriving in the chaos of the site right now. That's going to be a hot foot for Hwin as he goes down. Nice hot hands from Food. And now they're just trying to figure out where the stragglers could be trying to come from here on the flank. You see going straight back down towards C. Envy gets positions covered everywhere. And Gen.G may be losing a little more control than they like here in the game. Envy, the first seed, playing against the 8th, expected to do well this game. But looking at that, what, 75% win rate for defensive side for a Gen.G recently, you'd expect that to come into play here. Maybe they just need to figure out what the precedent is that Envy is going to be setting. We saw aggression in the first half. Envy sat back to Gen.G's and it started to turn a bit. So maybe that's the plan they deploy.
Yeah, it's really scary as well when you're playing against these bonus rounds, because if they do manage to get a site take on you, they get on top of you, and you can't hold onto the site.
Yeah.
Defending the retakes is not as bad as you may first think, because the Spectres, you can play them from close range around the choke points. There's a lot that you can do, and it's very difficult to deal with. So it's definitely tough times now for Gen.G.
Yeah.
Not too much to work with, and they have to save. They've got the couple Vandals in play, of course, but other than that, it's hard to see them having success in this round. We'll see what those win conditions will be as the round progresses, as maybe they find some early opportunities. But Envy, they are one of the most consistent and strong teams in the business, and it's because of the way that they play their attacking side as well as their defensive side. They don't try to take the gambles. They try to work the information and positioning just like Gen.G did so well in the first half.
An attack pause being used here just to shore things up. And look at Gen.G's buy here coming in. They may choose to do a few more things. It's a little off, but protecting what these Vandals will be. You can see they're putting them in the same site. That'll be Vandal retake if that is necessary. And it'll be a pretty good one, as obviously he's going to run out of the site now. Okay, Sean. Thanks. Thanks, Sean. But yeah, maybe they just want to split up the power, get a first push out here, cover him to get some shots down. Mikhail's going to be alone in the site as he works this.
Yeah, you can see that they were looking to make a play, Gen.G that is, on the defense with a couple Vandals in that mid position. They had the ability to split with the carriage players, but you can see Envy are keeping it safe. They're watching for these pushes. They're using the drone, the boom boss. They're just using all of their utility to keep everything as safe as possible to prevent their opponents from surprising them. It's up to Gen.G to be creative in a situation like this, and it's Win to replace this position that maybe Envy feel like is clear, but we'll see how diligent they are. Win jumps around the corner looking for Caboose, but Caboose is just a little bit too far away.
I like it. I was kind of hoping they got a lot closer before, like, the Vandals surprise was, you know what I mean, shown. They haven't really shown that they do have those Vandals coming in for themselves here, but they are avoiding Gen.G in that buy very accordingly on the side of Envy. Now getting themselves into C site. Showstoppers there if any trouble comes of this round. So it looks like another round here for Envy, and this is that buy for Gen.G.
30 seconds left.
With two Vandals on some, and they're just trying to squeak out whatever rounds they can here. They know once Envy gets a stranglehold on the game, it's very hard to get back in.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things too where we saw that Gen.G were calling the shots. They had that good start, and they were able to really capitalize on sort of how they were conditioning the defense. And that's the same kind of situation that Gen.G are in now. Then they're in this position where they're going to have to find a way to take the initiative, take the game away from Envy's default, and that's going to be very tough to do, and it is going to require some element of fortune and some element of somebody being creative and really finding just a great performance individually. And in terms of the ultimate economy, Caboose is sitting on a showstopper right now, and that's kind of a scary prospect. Sean is able to, if he's able to get hold of an orb, which he will be playing for that a long orb, can get to run it back, but it really does feel like Envy is set up quite well to do some early damage here again. It looks like they may focus on that garage control.
I'd love to see this round pull out as much util as possible. A simple default, crash these plants. He also gets an ult on top of the showstopper you're talking about right there. And then they are really nicely set to just grab round 11 here and may not even have to use those ults depending on the shots fired. In Food, playing with his food right now, hops into sight with the curveball out. Makes a shot happen before it goes off. They're going to keep taking a little bit more control here over C. Already FNS on the flank trying to watch window. GMD takes him down though, feeling comfortable, but now 10 HP, has to call for the cavalry before he makes a move. And Mame knows that is a very low omen in the window, but he's looking at the wrong way. Timing occurs, and Dan, this could be a possible retake. 4v2, there's the showstopper.
Nice by Caboose, not to overcommit. He's played it perfectly, and that's going to leave very little left in the tank for Gen.G. In fact, just one man left standing. And although Mikhail is going to be able to get one kill, it's going to be a tough ask to find the remaining two with the time that he has. These, of course, are professional players. They're going to use the clock against him. In fact, Food, he's found his timing, and Food is pretty nuts. That first entry rip, I mean, sometimes people talk about aim, right? And they're thinking about moving the mouse around, but it's the elements of focus and pre-aim and visualization there that allows Food to not have to move his crosshair. You can see that it's positioned perfectly as he emerges onto the site, and he just is so fast, his reaction speed, because of how he understands how to like visualize and anticipate and use his experience. So didn't even have to move the mouse.
So good. Just like that hip fire, a little hip fire there. Oh, no, I don't want a curveball. I want the quick kill. I actually thought he threw the curveball at first, so I called that wrong. Just all happened so quick when that gate came up. Food being that fast. And a few ultimates around the board here. We do have that spike going down last round. When you will have crashies with that Sova ult now. Caboose just being a nuisance here. Trolling GMD as he pushes long. And they'll be able to get big info off of that. And you know, Gen.G has to do a few of these things, right? They need to get a bit more info. They can't just wait for Envy to be on their front doorstep each of these rounds. Sean's doing a good push here. Imagine if, you know, GMD still just gets the long C. They have every info that it's going garage or mid. So things like that pay off, but Envy's ready.
They're definitely ready. They've played the pacing really well. We'll go back to that point in a moment because we can see that Gen.G are trying to throw some challenges in here, and they're forcing the action. Very nice dodge from Win. He can't keep himself alive, however, as Envy have control of this mid position. They're able to rotate quickly, and they're looking to go for that C side. They understood exactly what Gen.G were doing, and so they know that the C side itself is open. Great play from Kusta, though, using the cage, using the trip to be able to hold on to backside. Key position to get his teammates to rotate through, to help him on this retake. Another trip connecting, and Envy is still finding a way to defend, but there's Sean in the 1v1. It's going to be a tough one, but we'll see if he can do it. Oh no, Caboose, of course, is waiting on the body. I didn't even recognize that in time. I was just so hopeful for Sean, but it's not going to be enough, and it's just a clean sweep so far in this half.
It's going up in fire, Dan. Look at it. It's on fire.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Hopefully they've brought the water. They can get everything put out. There's still time. Ultimate's here to be used. They have to be able to follow somehow. Who's on deck? So 0 out of 6 and 3 out of 7. So not even on deck for Sean and Mikhail. They'll have to rely on the Blade Storm here. These ultimates may just be forced out. And it's Envy with the Sova ultimate still. So if the plant starts to go down, there's a way to deter that on the side of Envy. Sorry, diffuse, rather. And there's a way for Envy to just kind of play that safely.
Different pacing from Envy, and also just all walking up towards mid. Really, I don't think that this was expected at all by Gen.G. Envy keeping things fresh as they take control of B. They're walking through A link right now, maybe considering looking at the flank if there was some action for Finesse there on short, but he does lose that position, so they'll settle on the B site. They've got no post-plant positioning. They're just on the site right now. We'll have to see if I mean, they're hitting the shots, Riv, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Envy goes B the first few rounds, leaves it up to the A and C for the rounds in between. And they're like, you know what? Let's just train this one into B real quick, and we'll take the win 13-6. It's about setting a precedent at other sites and then just throwing your opponents for a loop. Envy was able to find that all the time on T side, and a 6-6 first half set them up nicely for it, Dan.
It really did. It was so funny because there was a moment when you were saying, Riff, you know, Gen.G have to take some information, and that was the exact round that Envy decided to just wait. And they hadn't done that at all, but they slowed their pace down so much that they caught all the pushes, and they got that kill on, I forget who was pushing C long, and then there they just have a huge advantage to play with. So they just were in the heads of their opponent. They're reading the pace of the game super well, were Envy.
And I think teams need to recognize as well, Envy did not change the aggressive play style. The first few rounds we saw of them on the defensive side of Haven were in the window, were pushed up A long. Further rounds in, Caboose was in window, 5 seconds in, blast packing over your Cypher traps. It is known, but it's still it's something you can't stop. That's why they're in for a seed, and it seems like the aggressive play style, thriving in that chaos, is just how Envy likes to take the game to their opponent.
Yeah, it's super impressive to just see how consistent they are, and with such a great start from Gen.G too, I was really hopeful that they'd be able to find more love with that. But again, there's a reason why Envy is seeded so well. There's a reason why their map pool it must feel impossible to run a veto against them. They have a map that has been a permaban for a while. You know, they just float it, and they just show that they know how to play the game, man.
And we'll be looking at Icebox next. This is Envy's pick. I thought we might see this at like maybe as a first map so teams could really suss each other or figure each other what they want to do, how they're going to act, if they are playing aggressive. But having a second map Icebox now, knowing Envy's still feeling like they're going to have momentum. We talked about, or we heard about what Food said about what momentum means to him in that 4K round. He's like, I got this. When you're feeling momentum, everything falls into place. So if that happens here on Icebox, this could be very, very tough. It's going to be Gen.G on defense to start there. I believe we're going to the analyst desk now, and we'll be back with more games in a bit. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to a break. I apologize. Get this earwax out of my ear. But we'll be right back. We're going to a break with more VALORANT Masters here. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+, as well as Discovery+, with a Galaxy S21 Plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.
Apply now at RedBullCampusClutch.com.